Welcome to the deep dive. Today, the topic is Bitcoin, elements of commoditization, and discusses the evolution of Bitcoin, contrasting BTC with BSV, particularly in the context of Teranode. The core argument revolves around the concept of connection versus networking in blockchain technology. The article posits that while networking implies technical reachability and economic exploitability of every node and event, connection delves into the meaning behind this reachability. It suggests that true integrity in a system like Bitcoin comes from economic principles, competition, and incentives, rather than control or authority. However, it warns that system efficiency does not automatically equate to meaningful connection or human scalability. Instead, connection stems from responsibility, not just speed. The solution lies not in rejecting networking, but in recognizing blockchain systems as having relationship potential beyond mere infrastructure. Bitcoin can be a vehicle for new economic efficiency and also for new forms of responsibility, visibility, and belonging. The document highlights the origin of Bitcoin in Sakamoto's 2008 white paper, which aimed to rethink trust as distributed and mathematically verifiable rather than centralized and blind. This was an invitation to individuals, fostering maturity rather than escape. The digital signature chain is presented as a metaphor for a network of responsibility, where each node is an observer, actor, and guardian. Connection in this context is not just technically possible, but intentionally desired, peer-to-peer. However, the text warns that as the protocol scales, the origin of connection as a prerequisite for scalability can be forgotten, leading to cold code without lived integrity. The question then becomes whether we are willing to be part of the signature chain, not just digitally but ethically. The article further elaborates on consensus as an emergent process in the white paper, arising from action and the deployment of computing power towards the longest valid chain, rather than through voting. It criticizes BTC's current state where thousands of nodes exist, but many are passive, merely validating without contributing to block creation. This creates a disconnect because according to the white paper, only those performing proof of work and blocking truly contribute, with others being mere audience. Trust, it argues, comes from the few economically risking actors, not many spectators. While BTC suggests decentralization through many non-mining nodes, the economic reality points to only a few participants, making the image deceptive. The white paper focuses on game theory and incentives, not democracy. In contrast, BSV with Teranode extends this structure, asserting that only what scales can connect, and that nodes must act economically to survive. The document then compares BTC and BSV directly. BTC, consensus through isolation. Characterized by many passive nodes where consensus is formed by miners, but the impression of broad node influence is given. Participants are isolated from the economic structure, leading to a stable but not lively system where blocks are created regardless of network demand. Connection is simulated through distribution, not interaction. BSV, consensus through relationship. Only mining nodes are significant, but they are directly connected to participants. Miners provide infrastructure for creators, developers, and users. Every transaction is a vote and economic acknowledgement. Blocks are created in response to demand, making consensus a result of lived connection, where connection is the basis of business. In BSV, a miner is a host providing space, infrastructure, and trust, only compensated when that space is utilized through interaction. BTC's consensus, in contrast, is depicted as technically secure but isolated from real life. A commodity is defined as a fundamental, universally recognized, interchangeable raw material without a sender, whose value comes from application and demand, not emission. It is fungible and not centrally controlled. Satoshi's article, Bitcoin, Elements of Commoditisation, describes Bitcoin becoming a fundamental economic structure through mechanics, not hype. BTC as a parked idea. It fulfills some commodity characteristics like limited supply and fungibility, but its decentralization is apparent. The main issue is that BTC is a parked value, driven by speculation, not usage. Most BTC is held, not spent, meaning its price is based on expectation, making it a myth or a symbol. It lacks connection to the real world, application diversity, and on-chain economic activity. BSV as a lived structure. BSV allows unlimited scaling for economic microtransactions, enabling direct on-blockchain commerce like electricity or water. Miners act as energy providers. BSV is a raw material for applications, a platform for machine communication, and an economic space for markets, games, and contracts, becoming a commodity because it is usable and functional. In conclusion, BTC is a monument, while BSV is a tool. BTC is held for hope, BSV is used for creation. Commodity implies utility, and utility means connection, which creates incentives and presence. A network unused is structure without substance. Only when participants are truly connected through economic relationships and direct utility does meaningful economic behavior emerge, revealing a blockchain's commodity potential. Teranode is presented as a fundamental redevelopment of BSV's node architecture, aiming not just for technical scalability, but an economic foundation for large-scale real-world usage, creativity, and market participation. Its core principle is that connection creates incentives, and incentives create presence. Architecture for unlimited scalability. Teranode has a modular, service-oriented design using specialized microservices for tasks like transaction validation and peer communication, allowing for horizontal scaling, parallel processing, and individual expansion. This enables it to handle millions of transactions per second, meeting enterprise, government, and machine system demands. Usage as a prerequisite for economic validity. Economic logic dictates that transactions generate fees, and only active users create economic incentives that secure the network long-term. Miners, as infrastructure operators, are thus compelled to create a usable, reliable, and attractive environment for developers, users, and services. The network is sustained by performance, not speculation, and presence comes from active participation in value creation, not token ownership. Foundation for digital commodity. Teranode's design embodies neutrality, open protocol, no central control, fungibility, every token or transaction processed equally, and universal usability, technological base for diverse economic applications. Unlike BTC, which is primarily a store of value, BSV with Teranode supports real economic activity, transforming it from a speculative object to digital infrastructure. Teranode operationalizes the principle that a network is economically legitimate only if it enables real, active usage. Its scalability is an economic necessity, making BSV a platform with true digital commodity potential through function, not promise. Finally, the document discusses institutional compatibility and machine economy. Regulatable transparency. BSV's public immutable ledger, combined with Teranode's performance, allows for traceable transactions, auditable addresses, and verifiable data, meeting regulatory, audit, and forensic requirements for institutions like governments and banks. Machine-to-machine economy. Teranode enables the next wave of economic activity between machines, systems, and sensors, for example, autonomous vehicles, smart grids, and decentralized supply chains, by providing low transaction costs, high frequency, and instant validation. Economic neutrality for institutional actors. Institutions require systems free from political, ideological, or speculative cycles. Teranode offers a fixed protocol, long-term planning security, and a real usage-based economic model, positioning BSV as a trustworthy, scalable, and neutral infrastructure for states, corporations, and global standards. In conclusion, Teranode demonstrates that true connection is more than data throughput. It is a condition for regulation, integration, and social compatibility. For a world where machines negotiate, states manage, and individuals act, a functional, non-speculative commodity is needed, which Teranode aims to provide. Bitcoin, as a mirror, reflects economic structures, trust, and our relation to connection. BTC represents a conserved ideal of security and restraint, while BSV strives for change, openness, and utility.
Teranode is an invitation to design economic systems with a focus on usage, responsibility, and connection. The ultimate determinant is not which blockchain processes more transactions, but which encounters it facilitates and whether it creates structures for human connection. At the end, you, the listener, decide which vision of the future you adopt for your good, whether it's driven by BTC or BSV. So the final question for you is, are you interested in a world where everyone is watching or a world where everyone is able to participate? Not because you need to, but because you are able to. Something to think about.